Okay. Just recapping the yum server steps once again. Step by step yum server configuration. Yum okay. Step 1, add the installation source media to your server. So that is mount -t ISO 9660 dev/sr02/media. Step 2, install your publisher. Whichever you need to use for publishing packages. Over network. Okay, in our case it's FTP. So RPM-I /media packages /vsftpd-star.rpm. Done. Step 3, copy the install media to publisher site. cp-r /media/star to var ftp pub. Or if you want to have multiple media sets there, then we can do mkdir-p var ftp pub /rhel 6 or 7, whatever you are using, and then copy it to that rhel 7 folder. Copied. Then step 4, generate the repository. Create repo -v var ftp pub rhel 7. Then step 5, start the publisher service. Now on rhel 6 or older versions, service vsftpd start. On rel 7, or letter, systemctl restart vsftpd, check config vsftpd on. Here systemctl enable vsftpd. Okay. So if you are working on a EL6 or older release, you have to do it in this way. If you are working on RHEL 7 or later, you have to do it in this way. This is Yum server configuration done. Now Yum client config, create a file by any name having a dot repo as extension at the following path, and the path is you can use vi, you can use nano, you can use gedit. Okay, vi etc yum.repos.d slash or anything you can give it as server repo, local repo, local server repo. Okay, now in this file, first entry repo name. This line is the ID. This is my repo ID. Name is equals to friendly description of repository. Base URL equals to protocol // server IP address /pub/rhel7 gpg check is equals to 1, gpg key file is equals to file protocol etc rpm gpg key Red Hat -release. Okay, this file you can get from the installation DVD itself, and then enabled is equals to 1. Done. This has to be on all the client machines. Whichever machine wants to pull the packages from the central server, this step has to be done on all of them. Okay, this is a step to be repeated on all the clients that want to pull packages from the central path. And the above step has to be done on only one server. To be done on one server. Okay. To be repeated on all machines that need packages from the central server. Got it? The step done. Yum server is configured. A centralized repository. Yes. Now you need not to talk to internet for every time. Now all your clients can pull the packages from here. And push it on here and do it from here. Yes. thus you have your yum server configured and the client side configuration also done. Server side configuration, client side configuration. Any package on the client device, now you have to, it refers to this FTP site, checks the repository, pulls the package from there and installs it on my local machine. Okay. So this is in case when you are dealing with the RPM distributions. While working on Debian servers, Debian or Ubuntu servers. So we get our package management using 3 commands. First is dpkg to deploy a locally available .deb file. So if I have a local deb file available to me, I can deploy it by using the dpkg command. Various options: dpkg-i, install the package, dpkg-e, erase or uninstall, dpkg-u, update, dpkg-l, list the installed packages. Okay, and dpkg-r reconfigure the packages. The same way we can use our apt-get set of utilities can also be used to manage packages, but needs to have an active internet connection. So how we can do it? Apt-get install followed by package name, install the package, apt-get install to install, apt-get update to update the specified package, apt-get remove to uninstall the package, apt-get dist-upgrade to upgrade the distribution, and apt-get configure followed by the package name to reconfigure the application, apt-get clear the local cache. Some common options that you can use with your apt-get command. So for example, we have over here server. Let us firstly try to find if in case I have the Samba package installed here or not. So how I can get it? dpkg-l. So this command will list me all the packages which are installed. This command is similar to running my rpm-qa or running my yum list all. Okay. So dpkg-l, I need to check for the package name Samba. pipe grep -i Samba. If I have the Samba package installed, I will be able to get the listing. If I don't have the Samba package installed, I'll not get the listing. Okay. The same way, let's try to check for NFS. Do I have the NFS? No, I don't have the NFS package here. So there is only one name server info, information handler is installed. Okay. So now I need to do what? I need to get connected to internet and download the package. So this time what will be doing? One option is there are some packages, some deb files available in your installation DVD also, or the installation CD of Ubuntu also. We have used the Ubuntu server CD. So in Ubuntu server CD, I have some packages. I have some applications available there. So how I can check if in case do I have this package on my NFS server, Ubuntu server DVD or not? Again, we'll have to do the same steps. Firstly, connect the Ubuntu DVD to our system, and after connecting the Ubuntu DVD, search for the packages available there or not. So just select and browse the path where you have copied the DVDs there, the DVD ISO image. If you are working on a real-time server, a physical server, insert the Ubuntu installation media into your drive. So in my case, I hope I have copied it on my local machine. And click on this connected option. Okay. So once I have connected, again the way you have mounted your DVD-ROM there, the same way we are going to mount our DVD-ROM here also. Mount -t ISO 9660 dev/sr02/media. The same steps that we have done on our no medium found on it. Okay, let me check. See here in my case, you can see I have two CD-ROMs, CD1 and CD2. So I'll have to just do it here as SR0, SR1. Okay. Once my DVD is mounted, now if I check the contents of my ls/media directory, it shows me that I have some data available here. These are the contents of my Ubuntu DVD. In Ubuntu, the structure of your Ubuntu installation media and the structure of your Red Hat installation media, both are different. Here you have packages in terms of your .deb. I need to find out if there is a Samba package here or not. I do not know what is the exact path where my packages will be. I am more familiar to my RPM environments, I am less familiar to the Ubuntu. I do not know what is the exact path where I have my packages. So in that case, what you can do, even you can repeat the same step on your Red Hat installation media also. What I can do is, I can use my inbuilt utility called as find, where it has to search at the path media. What it has to search? A file by the name Samba. Samba star. Okay. So what the find command will do is, find command will give me the exact path of any file which is having the Samba keyword in it. What I have done is I have just requested the find command to search at the path location media. What I want to do, I want to find a file by the name Samba. I am using the find command. Find where it has to find, inside the /media directory. By what name? Search for a file having its name beginning with Samba and then having anything in it. So it will go through the whole installation media, and will try to find out all those file names that begin with the Samba keyword and having information in it. So now here if you check, what is the name returned to me? All the names that are returned to me, what is there anything common in them? The thing that is common there is all of them are having their names beginning with Samba, okay? And the last thing that is common in all of them is they are having a extension of .deb. So now I have two methods. One, I can install the Samba package using the dpkg command, or I can install the Samba package if I have active internet connection through the apt-get utility. Any of the two methods we can follow. So first, I'll show you both the methods how to do it. First, I'm trying to show you how to do the installation of a package using the dpkg command. When we checked dpkg -l pipe grep -i Samba, there is no Samba package installed. There is no package by the name Samba installed there. So now what we'll do is we'll try to install the package dpkg -i. Followed by this, I need to give the exact path. So what is the exact path where I have my Samba package? The exact path is /media, inside that pool, inside that main, inside that s, inside that Samba, inside that Samba underscore 4.3. That's my package name. How I got to know it? By executing my find command. So find in /media by the name, file name beginning with Samba, having anything in it. So what it did is it returned me all the files, all the directories that are having Samba in them. Okay. So now it has returned me main, media, pool, s, Samba. Now inside this Samba directory I have Samba 4.3, Samba common, Samba dsdb, Samba lib, Samba vfs, multiple values there. So I need to install the main Samba package. Okay. So I just gave the exact path. I don't have to remember the path. My find command has given me the exact path, the absolute path of my package. Run it. Hit enter. Now if in case the package is not having any dependencies, if in case the package does not have any dependency, it will be installed. And if in case the package demands any dependent applications, then you will be thrown an error stating that this package demands this and this dependency. Firstly, install the dependent packages. So what it is doing right now is it's checking my existing system, trying to find out if in case there is any package by the same name already installed. If in case it is not installed, then it will try to install it there. So preparing to unpacking my Samba package. So what we are just doing is we are doing installation from our installation media. I have not contacted internet. What happened? Unpacking Samba, dependency problems prevent configuration of Samba. Is it? Read the error message that we got here. Dependency problems prevent configuration of Samba. So dpkg is the same as in our RPM environments. We have the RPM command. With RPM, you have to manually maintain the dependencies. You are the one who has to manage the dependencies there. So that is here it is saying that it depends upon Python greater than 2.7. Okay, Python package is not installed. Samba depends upon Python Samba is not installed. Depends upon Samba common, which is not installed. Depends upon TDB tools, which is not installed. Update inetd, which is not installed. So lot of problems we received here while doing the deployment of our Samba package. So here what happened is when we executed the installation of our Samba using the dpkg command, and it was having n number of dependencies, I was not able to do it. So now the thing is, I need to firstly go and manually take care of each and every dependency. I need to manually install each and every dependent package first, then try to do the installation. This might take a huge amount of time if the dependent tree itself is having further more dependencies. So we can do the installation of same package by using apt-get command also. Apt-get install Samba. So apt-get is working exactly the same way as my yum command works. Automatically it is going to resolve my dependencies for me. I don't have to worry about dependencies, it will do the dependency on its own. So we'll do now apt-get install Samba. It says that it has some unmet dependencies. So always it is a better practice that when you are doing it using the apt-get command, before processing anything else, firstly run apt-get upgrade or apt-get update. Either update or upgrade, just run any of the two. So this will try to do what? This will try to update your system to the most recent updates. We'll try to bring your system to the recent service pack updates or recent service pack updates there. Once that is done, now we can do the installation of our packages. From where it is getting all this installation information? It's getting all this install info from my file etc/apt/sources.list. Like in case of yum, it goes to etc yum.repos.d/abc.repo. It refers the package sources from that repo file. Here in this case, it refers the package sources through etc apt/sources.list. Now this process may take a huge amount of time depending upon your internet connectivity. How much bandwidth do you have available to you? Based on your bandwidth, this process may take an hour or may take only 5 minutes. So if you have a lease line, have a dedicated bandwidth of 2 MB or 10 MB or 20 MB something, this process can be finished within a zap. But if you have a low speed frequency connected to you, this process can take a lot amount of time. So like in our case, it's showing me somewhat around 37 minutes something. So I'll not wait for that long. I'm cancelling the process here. I'll just show you the files ls etc/apt. So this is a directory where you are having all your sources list. And there is a apt configuration also, where you have your trusted CD-ROM, you have your aptitude, auto remove kernels, debconf, vendor, details into it. So here we have our file sources.list, and if we check the contents of this file there, it is pointing me to what are locations? Dev http, go to where? us.archive.ubuntu.com, Xenial, main, restricted. All those lines which are uncommented, it will go and talk to those locations. So there is a Xenial main, there is one more line Xenial updates, there is one more line Xenial updates universe, and Xenial update multiverse. Lot of things are uncommented. You want it to focus only on one point, need not to go and talk to all other locations. Just simply open this file and make changes, comment out all those lines which you do not want. That is, comment out those sources from where you don't want to get the packages. I want to have only the main packages updated. I don't want to talk to the update repository. I don't want to talk to my multiverse repository, universe repository. I don't want to talk to all of them. I just want to talk only to the restricted repository. Like in Ubuntu, we have base repository, update repository, extras repository. The same way here also we have multiple types of repositories available. So it is my choice. I want to talk to what all? Simply vi modify this file, and any line which is having a hash written before it is a comment. So just add a comment here. Just add a comment here. Add a comment. So that now it is not talking to all the sources but only to a specific source that I have specified. So if in case in our production environment we have created a local repository, now what we'll do is, in spite of talking to dev source HTTP US archive, we'll replace the address of this US archive with our own IP address. Create your own Apache server, copy all the packages there and publish it from your local machine. There we have created the FTP. Here you can create FTP or you can create your Apache, any of the two things. Again, apt get clean, always to clear the cache like we used to do in yum. Anytime I make any changes in my repository configuration, firstly clear the local cache, then apt get -f install to clear up any unresolved package installations or all, and then apt get update. So now it is talking only to one. It's not going to all the repositories. It's talking only to the one which is restricted to you. I have talked only to the restricted one. Now it's going only to the restricted one. It's not referring all other repositories. So that depends upon you are talking to AMD 64 or you are having your i386. According to your version, it will do the installation. So there is, you can fix it, you can confine it that from now onwards it is going to work only on this one. So once that is done, your repository update has happened. You can now check in your systems there. You can keep on doing your installation, management, package management, whatever you want to do. For installing your packages, you have to do apt get install followed by your package name. For removing a software, you have to do apt get remove. Okay. So now it has updated all my repositories. It has updated my kernel. I can try apt get install Apache 2. Now if you look in here at the bottom, it's giving me a message. This operation requires 47.7 MB of some more data to be added. Do you want to continue? It's giving me a message here. The following additional packages will be installed: Apache 2 bin, Apache 2 data, Apache 2 utils and all. You need 7810 kilobyte of archives. After this operation, 45.7 MB more disk space will be used. Are you sure you want to continue? The same way, yum install, it gives you the package name and the dependency list and then gives you a message. Select your operation. Yes, no. The same thing we are doing here. Yes, it starts connecting to my repositories and downloading the package from there. Now again, how much time it is going to download for your package, that depends upon your internet connectivity. How much is the bandwidth you are having? According to your bandwidth management, the same will be the things here. It will take some time. Number of packages to be deployed and the size of packages to be deployed. So that time could be 5 minutes, that time could be 5 hours. It completely depends upon what is your bandwidth. Upon your internet connectivity, it will make the changes there. Got it? So here it's doing the installation of our Apache package. So let it perform the package installation. In the meantime, we'll talk about our next topic, that is managing our hardware. hardware management. Okay. Managing our hardware in Linux environment. Okay. So there are various commands that are available for getting your hardware level information. Can you tell me how many ls commands do you have, or how many commands are there that begins with ls? Ls is a very beautiful command. ls, I think I should do it again. Not bad only. You can then copy and paste it later on. Various commands are available in Linux to manage our hardware and get hardware information. Okay. Number one, ls. What it shows? Can you tell me what are the contents of my ls command? Output of my ls command? List the contents of my current working directory. Is it? So ls list contents of given directory. Okay. What is my ls hw command does? This command may not be working on all the hardware platforms, may not be working on all the Linux platforms. lshw list hardware installed on system may not work with all Linux distros. ls PCI list devices connected on PCI slots. ls PCI deals with the listing of devices connected on your PCI slot. ls PCI can be used with various switches, with -b, verbose info, can be detailed by VVV. Get further more level of details with -VV or -VVV. Just try to run the command lspci-v, then lspci-vv, and then lspci-vvv. Were you able to run the command lspci? See, this command will work on both the platforms, RPM as well as Debian. LSHW may work only on the Debian platforms. It's done. My package is installed. Okay. Now let's check. Let's validate if in case the package got installed. dpkg -l pipe grep -I Apache. Validated. The package installation that we done is here. Okay. LSPCI showed me a listing of all the devices that are connected here. And what it shows me? It shows me PCI bridge, VMware on port number 0, port number this, port number that. All my PCI device slots are shown. Okay. If I run the same lspci command with -v. So earlier where I was getting only the slot number, now I am getting some more detail added to it. Like it's showing me multimedia audio controller, device name sound, subsystem, Ensoniq, details here. Run your lspci command with one more V there. This information gets further more detailed. Okay. Run your lspci command with one more V. Further more detailed set of information is added there. To make it more clear, let's do lspci pipe grep Ethernet, or simply say net. I have Intel network configuration. lspci -v pipe grep net. Some more information got added. lspci -vv or -vvv. So information related to your things keeps on increasing there. So here if you check at the bottom, SATA VMware SATA AHCI controller. Okay, this is VVV info. Let's focus only on this SATA controller. Review the information that I am having about the AHCI controller prog IF01. Amount of info is reduced. Let me reduce one more V. VMware USB to SATA EHCI controller. How much information is left now? The information related to my SATA EHCI controller is further reduced. And if I remove this V also, now I am only having a SATA EHCI controller, just one line of info coming at the end. Is it? So in my case, the last controller I have focused upon was my SATA controller. When I am simply running lspci, it shows me that there is just one line entry about that I have a device on my such and such slot having the name as VMware SATA AHCI controller. When I added -v, this SATA controller's information got increased. Device name SATA 0, subsystem VMware SATA EHCI controller, information added there. Add one more V, you got further more detailed info about that. Under capabilities, power management version, capabilities MSI enable. Add more, you got further more details. So every time you do it, you are getting further more set of information added to it. So lspci gives me information about the devices connected on my peripheral connect interface, that is PCI slot. Okay. Now here, if in case I don't want to get all these alphabetic names or the descriptive values, I just want to view only the BIOS sequence numbers. I want to identify the names associated with the BIOS, how my BIOS is identifying them. Then in that case, lspci-n. If you want to get number and name both together, run your command lspci-nv. So here it shows you the BIOS sequence number as well as the verbose details associated with the device. The same way there is a command as ls usb. ls usb. List devices connected on my USB interface. ls usb -v, give me a verbose information there. So ls PCI, list devices connected on my PCI slot. Fourth, ls USB, list dev connected on USB interfaces. Okay, ls usb -v, verbose and detailed info. Like here, ls usb just simply shows me 4 lines of output. ls usb -v gives me a verbosity detail of all the devices there. ls, there is a command called as your ls HW, works on Debian sort of platforms but doesn't works on your RPM environments. LSHW and LSPCI both works on Debian, but on your RPM environment you don't have the LSHW command. LSHW is simply a short form of my list HAL, hardware abstraction layer. So LSHW simply shows you list of all the hardwares connected to your server. What all hardware do you have here? It's a hardware information. So we have LSPCI, we have LSUSB, we have LSHW, and we have LSDLK. List block devices. Fifth is LSDLK. List details of all the block devices connected to your server. With info on partitions or logical volumes. Okay. So by using these various commands, we can get information about the devices connected to my system. In some environments, you will also get a command called as LSSCSI. List devices connected on SCSI interface. LSSCSI. List SCSI devices, but not necessary to work on all the platforms. So whatever devices we have connected on our SCSI interface, they will be listed by it. So now what information I can get by using this? How it is helpful to me? How is this list SCSI or list things are helpful to us? When in case we are getting issues with a particular device, I have connected a disk, my disk is okay, it's working on another server, but on my this box it's not working. The device is not working on this hardware, but the same hard disk or the same USB stick is working on another server. So how I can troubleshoot whether if my kernel is able to identify the device or my kernel is not able to identify the device? All these commands are talking to my kernel database and pulling information from there. All of them are getting the information from my kernel database, that is the sys class and the proc file system. So the sys file system and the /proc file system. It gets the information about all these devices from there. Okay. So let's say where I can use it. The scenario is I have connected a USB stick, and that USB stick, when I am checking on my another Windows server of the same hardware configuration, it's working. But when I'm trying to access it on my Linux box, it's not working. So my first troubleshooting step is I need to identify if in case my system is able to identify the device at the kernel level or not. So how we can do it? This we can obtain by running the command dmesg. Dmesg shows me the kernel level messages. Try to run the dmesg command on your system. So every time a disk is plugged in, a disk is plugged out, network got enabled, disabled, all those things, these are your kernel log messages. So boot up oblique kernel level messages are available here. So how I can figure out if in case a device is identified or not? Simply check dmesg pipe grep, let's say USB. So what it will do is, it will show me a listing of all the devices, all the actions, when I plugged in a USB device, when I unplugged in a USB device, all those messages are coming from here. So dmesg pipe grep USB will show me, okay, when the USB, whether the USB device was detected or not detected. If in case it was detected, whether it was mounted to a, or it was assigned a drive letter or not. If in case it was assigned a drive letter, what was that? All those information I can check it here. Okay. So for this purpose, let's check dmesg pipe grep USB. You got it? Lot of information related to USB. Together with the date and time also you can get when this USB action has happened. So you are having your dmesg logs. USB core registered with new interface driver, USB HID. Okay, USB HID core driver is there. VMware virtual USB mouse device is detected. So if in case my mouse is working on one machine but not working on the other one, I can check it whether there is getting detected or not. My kernel is able to identify the device or not. So this I can identify simply by running this. Another thing, ls USB. So LSB USB also shows me that I have a VMware virtual mouse there. Here also I am getting information, I have a VMware virtual USB mouse as by the device name, device, PCI, this whole is the actual device name input file. Okay. So this way you can identify if in case the devices are getting detected or not. So think of a scenario, mind one thing. There are two types of devices that we have. One which we call up as a hot plug device, and second which is called up as a cold plug device. Can you name some of the hot plug device? Did you understand what the term hot plug and cold plug means? What is the meaning of a hot plug and a cold plug? The device that you can connect during the running state of my server are called as my hot plug devices. Like on a Cisco router, a serial cable is a hot plug device, but FC slot or my WIC slot is a cold plug device. If I am going to add the WAN interface card there on a Cisco router, so for installing this WAN interface card, I need to power off my router first. Unplug the cable, then I can install the WIC card. Whereas connecting a serial cable to the serial interface is a hot plug operation. The router need not to be turned off while connecting it there. The same way here, when I need to plug a device, any device that can be attached to my server without powering off, and the device can be recognized by my kernel, are referred up as my hot plug devices. Whereas the devices for attaching or detaching them, I need to firstly take a downtime. I need to firstly power off my server. These are referred up as my cold plug devices. So what all could be the examples of my cold plug devices? LAN card is a cold plug device. Sound card, it's a cold plug device. My gaming card, all these things, PCI slot cards, These are my cold plug devices. For attaching anything on my PCI slot, for attaching anything on my SATA slot, for attaching anything on my parallel ATA slot, for attaching anything on your PCI Express slot, I need to power off my server first. Otherwise, there are chances that my motherboard can get damaged, or the slot itself, the card itself can get damaged. Devices which are my hot pluggable is SCSI hard disk. My SCSI hard disk is a hot plug device. USB mouse, USB keyboard, USB network card, anything which you are plugging on the USB interface, it's a hot plug device. You are connecting anything on the serial controller, the SCSI interface, these are also your hot swappable devices. There is a specific type of RAM called as your ECS RAM, that is also a hot swappable device. So the devices which I can plug or unplug without causing any damage to my server are called as my hot swappable or hot plug devices. So all those devices which are hot plug, we can force a scan of those devices while my system is into a running state. Let's say for example, currently when we did the installation, we had only one hard disk. And on my hard disk, we have selected the option as let my installer create the partitions for me. We all know what is the reason why we create the partitions. What is the advantage of creating my partitions there? We all know that. Can you tell me what is the reason why we should create partitions? Just to make my life simple. The only reason why we create partitions is to make our life as system admin simple and easy. Obvious reasons. See, you have a large disk, 1 terabyte device, and there is only one single partition. So whenever you are trying to search for a file, the search operation will be going on across the whole 1 terabyte of data sets. This will consume more time. Data seek time will be higher. There will be high latency. Whereas when you say that you need to search something in a confined area, the search operations are faster. Just to increase my system performance, enhance my data seek and reduce the latency. Let's talk for example, I lost my wallet somewhere. So I lost my wallet somewhere, so what I'll have to do now? I need to search. So if in case I have to search only in this chamber, it's quite an easy job for me. If I have to search in this whole campus, a slightly difficult job. And if I have to search in this whole building, further more difficult job. So larger the size of your storage, higher is the latency. Higher is the seek time. There will be more delay in identifying or in pulling your information. Whereas when you create small confinements, when you create small data segments, it becomes easy for you to manage the data. Plus, whenever you search for your data, whenever you perform a data read request, the IOPS are lesser. It takes less time. You can have more IOPS per second on a small partition as compared to a large partition. So just to manage my IOPS, input outputs per second, that's what we call up as IOPS. So to control our IOPS, we need to have a specific time. So that seek time will depend upon how much area it has to search. The disk platter movement will control on that. That is why we create partition. So we have a disk on which there is no more space left. We just checked in here ls blk, and the ls blk says that I have only one hard disk. I have only one hard disk here, and all the space of my hard disk, that is 20 gigs, is consumed. I have a hard disk of 20 gigs where 19.5 GB is my root partition and 512 MB is my swap partition. So whole my disk space is consumed. I cannot create any more partitions in it. So we need to do the practical of our partitioning, disk partitioning, creating partitions, creating file systems, and then managing the things. So how we can do it? How we can manage it? Let us just simply add one more device to our system, as a SCSI device. While my system is into running state, let's add one more device to it. So how I can do it? I'll firstly show it to you from the VMware, then I'll show you the process how to do it in the VirtualBox. Okay. Control D. I'll click on here as add. Yes. Now what I need to add? I need to add a hard disk here. Next, SCSI disk. Okay. See, I am selecting an option here as SCSI. I am not selecting the SATA option. Why? Because SATA is not hot swappable. The SATA devices have to be plugged when the system is into a powered off state. That is why I am selecting only SCSI. Next, create a virtual hard disk. Okay. Let's take it of 20 gigs only. Finish. One hard disk got added. Let me add one more hard disk here. Next. Done. Click on OK. Now let me see if in case my system identified the new device. No. My system has not yet identified, my kernel does not know about the new devices being added to it. We just added two more hard disks. We added a hot swappable device, but the device is not yet identified by my kernel. So I will have to do some operations. I'll have to do some actions. But before that, let me show you how to do this operation on the VirtualBox environment. Okay. So here we have our DVD or we have our OS working on there. Just go to its settings. Under the storage tab, if you have a SCSI controller here, you can add the device while the runtime state. Otherwise, you will have to power off. So because I didn't add, just right click on your device, go to the storage tab and see if you have a SCSI controller here or not. So in my case, I don't have a SCSI controller here. So now the option that I have to follow is, I'll have to firstly power off my VM, then go to its settings, and so that I don't have to do this thing again, I may require adding devices further in the future. So what I'll do is, I'll come to here, click on this plus icon in the storage where it says that add new storage controller. We'll click on it, and here I will add a add SCSI controller here. Okay, just do one thing, power off your VM, run the command power off. Select the VM for which you want to make the changes. Okay, then click on settings. Now in settings, select your storage. In your storage, see, you will see a plus and a minus, a green plus symbol at the bottom side. Click on your storage. When you click on storage, on the bottom side you will see a green plus symbol. Is it? Everybody able to view it? So you have to select it on a VM which is powered off. It has to be powered off first. Okay. So when you click on this plus symbol, it gives you an option to add a controller. So here this time we will select add SCSI controller. Okay. Once my controller is added, now I can add in a disk or I can add in an optical drive. So on my controller itself, the SCSI controller, there is the option coming as add hard disk. Click on this. Either you can choose an existing hard disk or you can create a new hard disk here. Create new hard disk. Click on next. Dynamically allocated. Next. Create it. dynamically expanding, and then power on your VM. Okay, once again, select the VM where you want to add, go to its settings, click on storage, add a SCSI controller, then in SCSI controller click on this plus, create a new hard disk, click on next, new virtual hard disk 2, and create it. Click on OK and start your VM. So as we have done this operation in a power off state, post reboot I should have my device connected there. But if in case I don't have it, then I will have to do some operations here. So here in my case, I have number of hard disk as 3. You can check it here. How many disks do I have? 1, 2, 3. 3 hard disks are here. Hard disk 1, hard disk 2, hard disk 3. All 3 are my SCSI devices. Okay. But when I am checking my LSBLK output here it shows me that I have only one hard disk, SDA. Though in reality I should have SDA, SDB, SDC. 3 hard disks should be there. But it's showing me only one. Okay. Let's try to check if my storage controller, if my storage device management utility that is able to find the new hard disk. This I can do by running the command as administrator fdisk-l. fdisk-l pipe grep-i disk. So here also it is showing me only one disk, SDA. I am not getting my other 2 devices. fdisk space -l pipe grep-i disk. So you will get a listing of all the devices, all the disks that are connected to your system. So in my fdisk-l also I am getting only one disk. One more option that is left, check cat proc partitions. In cat proc partitions also I am getting only one, SDA. So we have connected what? We have connected a hot swappable device, a SCSI device. That means device is hot swappable, so it should be recognized by my system. Okay, but it is not. So how I can force my system to rescan the SCSI controller for this newly added device? One option is you can try to run the part probe command. If the device which I have added is not visible to my system, is not visible to my kernel, I may try forcing my kernel to rescan the device controller by executing part probe command. Part probe, the name itself says probe for the new partitions. Okay, let's check back after running my part probe. LSBLK, if it did the job, no, it's still not done. Now what we'll have to do is, now there is only one result left, and that is forcing my kernel to rescan the SCSI controller. So do you recall where my kernel state database is maintained? In which particular file system or in which particular directory my kernel maintains its database? Do you remember those directory names where my kernel is maintaining its database? One is ls proc partitions, where it maintains the information of all the partitions. So cat proc partitions is showing me only one, that is kernel is not updated. So where it maintains the devices information, the kernel state device information. If we recall, we had one more virtual file system, that is my sys. One virtual file system is proc, second virtual file system is sys. So here in my sys file system we have class, dev, device, firmware, hypervisor, a lot of things there. We have to refer ls class. Inside this class, what all classes do I have? We have classes here as ATA device, ATA link, ATA port, device frequency, graphics, memory. But what is of our concern here? Our concern is related to the SCSI disk. So we can see here that we have a class inside my sys virtual file system by the name SCSI underscore disk and SCSI underscore host. So let's check what all are the contents of this SCSI underscore host class. Here it is showing me that it's having around 30 hosts, 32 hosts into it. I'll have to do now in my host 0 what I have. Inside this host 0, if you check, do we have any particular option as a scan? Do we have anything coming up here as a scan? Yes, we have a file here by the name sys class scan. Directly I cannot view the contents of this file. So what we have here is, on your system in the virtual file system sys, just take care of this thing. When my system is not able to identify that there had been some new devices there, what I did is I will have to force my kernel to re-scan the system. And how I can force my kernel? By sending it echo signals to this particular file. Echo, first dash is for my controller, second dash is for my target, and third dash is for my disk. Controller, target, disk. Send these three dashes to sys class. You add that small copy. Okay. So here what I'll have to do is I have to send these three echo signals. I'm asking, doing in this statement, what I'm doing is I'm forcing my kernel to rescan my controller, that is SCSI controller, SCSI target, and SCSI disk, where sys class SCSI host slash host 0 scan. Here is something that you will have to do hit and try. Let's check lsblk once again. No, still no success. Now send the scan signal to your second bus, because here I do not know exactly my SCSI device is connected on which controller, on host 0 or host 1 or host 2. So I may have to send this scan signals to all my host buses. I could have done this job by writing a small script also. I've just written a very small script which is scanning, which will execute a loop for 32 times and will scan each and every, send the scan signal to every host, starting from host 0 to host number 32. Because typing that command for 32 times doesn't make any sense. Okay. See here, after my scan got completed on all the hosts, automatically you got a message here. Read the message, what it is showing. SDB, assuming drive cache. Okay. SDC, assuming drive cache, write through. So if we check LSBLK now, we got 2 new devices added. So when I'm going to do this process, whenever I don't want to take or I cannot afford a downtime, in scenarios when I cannot afford a downtime, it's a banking server peak time and the data is getting full, I cannot afford to have a downtime right now. What we just did is we plugged in a new disk, but the disk is not getting recognized by my Linux box. So in that scenario, what I can do is, first resolution is try to do the part probe. If after doing part probe also you are not getting a device respected or the device shown on there, then the next step is write in a small script like this, or you can take a note of the same script here. While $CTR send in a scan signal to all the hosts from host 0 to host 32. Run your script. Now you should be able to get the devices scanned. Even if after doing this also I am not having this, then there is only one option, that is taking in a power cycle. And taking a reboot is a last resort, is a last action that we do as a troubleshooting step on Unix environment in production houses. So rebooting a server is a very rare condition. For that I need to have a scheduled downtime from our reporting managers, our line managers, then from the client, then finally we can do that shutdown. So here this script did this simple thing. Okay. So once it is recognized, now we can go ahead with the partitioning process and doing the job on them. Okay. So here adding hot swap table devices at run time. I'll not write it as devices, I'll write it as hot swappable disk at runtime. Okay. So step 1, add a new disk to SCSI controller. Required number of new disk to SCSI controller. Okay. Then step 2, check if storage management software recognized it. So this we can do by running fdisk -l pipe grep -i disk. So above command should report the newly added disk in listing. If not, reported. Then try part probe and recheck. Recheck the listing from fdisk command. If still not reported, then send rescan signals to SCSI host controllers on your server. A small script can ease your life. So simply vi SCSI scan script.sh. Now here I'll write only, say, this name could be anything. Counter is equals to 0, while mind the spaces that I am writing in here is less than equals to 32, because in my case the total number of controllers are 32. Okay, then do what it has to do, send the echo signal dash 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 to sys class SCSI underscore host slash host $CTR slash scan. Then CTR is equals to backtick. This is not single quote, this is backtick. EXPR $CTR space +1 backtick. And then done. Then press escape :WQ and save your script. And from your command prompt, run it as sh, whatever name you have given to your script. You should get your newly added devices listed after the completion of this script. Above script is most likely to report the new disk connected on SCSI controller. If still not reported, then the last option is to request for a maintenance window and take a downtime. But that should never be requested. That should not be there. You will very rarely you are going to request for that. Okay. So now our next step is step number 3. Use any of the following utilities to create disk partitions, and then build file system and mount them for use. Okay. So next step is using any of the following utilities. What all I can use? fdisk, available on all flavors of Linux. Parted, gparted, a GUI utility, kpartex, again a GUI utility, so kpartex is also a GUI utility. Either you can use fdisk, you can use parted, you can use gparted, you can use kpartex. Any of these tools can be used to create our partitions. fdisk is something which is available on all flavors of Unix and Linux. Can be used to create my partitions on all the file systems, on all the environments. So for creating our formats, we just got testing here as, so if I'll try to do it using fdisk -l pipe grep -i disk, for me it's giving me permission denied, permission denied, permission denied. Why? Because who am I? I am Vivek. I am not root. And this is a job to be supposed to done by root only. So because I am not root, I cannot do this operation. But something that was our concern, we got this SDB and we got this SDC available here. After running our script that we created, we can validate it by running cat proc partitions pipe grep SD. Okay, we got SDA, SDB, SDC. SD device is connected. Okay, so now I need to do what? I need to create partitions. So first I am creating partitions in my SDB disk. Why into my SDB? Because if I check my LSBLK, so it shows me clearly my SDA device is of capacity 20 GB, which is completely consumed in here. Two partitions, one is forward slash and second is my swap. So these two partitions has completely occupied the space. I don't have any space left on there. So I have added a new disk and we'll try to do our actions in this second disk here. Okay, but when I try to do, always remember when you are using the fdisk command, I am showing you the options through fdisk because it is something which is available on all the platforms. The fdisk utility is available on all the Linux environments. That is why I am using fdisk here. Okay, so fdisk, when I need to create a partition, always remember, give the disk name, not the partition name. Can you have nested partitions? Can you create a partition inside a partition? No, that's not logically correct. So here, if in case I am doing dev sda1, what I am trying to do is, now I am creating partitions inside a partition. And believe me, if you did it on a production server, you have corrupted all the data stored on that device. Because what you did is, you just created a partition inside a partition. And SDA1 is what? SDA1 is my partition here. SDA1 is not my disk. SDA1 is a partition inside disk dev SDA. So never ever do this option. That is, whenever you have to create a partition, don't include the digits with your device name. Here it is my SDA1. If I am doing it, sorry, I cannot do it. I should not do it. And being an unprivileged user, I cannot run this particular command. because I am not root. Fdisk cannot open dev SDA1, permission is denied to me. So what I'll have to do is, I can do it as a Vivek user, I can perform the operation, but I have to run the command now as sudo fdisk dev/sdb. Now it's asking me for my password. Now I will be able to do the operation. Sudo means I have requested to perform this operation as super user. Switch user and do this job. So sudo command is whenever you don't have privileges and your name appears in the sudoers.conf file, you will be able to perform the operations. So here in case of Ubuntu environments or in Debian environments, a user cannot do anything, root cannot log in directly on the system. If I'll try to log in on this machine with the root account, I cannot log in there. Root account is simply denied login access. So you need to create an unprivileged user account, then log in on the system with that unprivileged account. So Vivek is an unprivileged account. I have logged in my Ubuntu server using that unprivileged username and doing the job on it. The same will be the operation on your Linux box also, Red Hat box also. But there you can log in with the root account. There also we know the option, log in with your username, then do su-. So you have an interactive shell of root account and then perform the operations there. So here, if I don't know what commands to run, what operations to perform, read my bottom line, what the last line says on my screen. What the last line says on the screen? Command M for help. So the moment I press M and hit enter, now it gives me a listing of all the options that we can create here. Okay. The various options which are available here with my fdisk utility. So what is the option? Can you tell me what is the option here to create a new partition? Read the screen and tell me which option I should use for creating a new partition. What key I have to press for creating a new partition? The option is N, add a new partition. Press N. Okay. Now it is asking me what type of partition I want to create, primary partition or extended partition. Hope everybody is clear of the primary and extended concept. On an Intel machine you can create maximum 4 partitions, that is either 4 primary or 3 primary and 1 extended and a number of logical partitions in it. The same is the concept we are following here. So I want to create a primary partition. Automatically it has taken me the partition number as 1. Okay. In Ubuntu 16 or Red Hat 7 and above, there had been a slight change in terms of the fdisk commands functionality. And the change in previous to Ubuntu 16, it used to do this option on the cylinder basis. The partitions were controlled in terms of number of cylinders. Whereas now Ubuntu 16 or your Red Hat 7, it follows in terms of the sectors. Number of disk sectors required to create a partition. So that is why you are not beginning the thing from cylinder number 0, but you are beginning from your first sector, first readable or writable sector, that is 2048. Okay, I want to begin from the first sector. What is the capacity I want to have for my device? So I want to create a partition of say 1G. You have these keywords here. Always remember you have to use it with plus symbol. If I am not using the plus symbol here, I am going to get an error. So I said 1 GB partition I want to create, but when I did 1G, I got error message value out of range. Why I got this message? Because it was supposed to begin with a plus number of sectors or plus size followed by the human readable terms. So I'll have to write it as plus 1G. A partition of 1 GB size got created for me. How I can validate if the partition got created? By running in option here as print the partition table. So let's press P, hit enter. Now here if you check, I have a disk dev SDB of 20 gigs capacity and there is one partition SDB1 created for me which is of type Linux. Okay, let's create one more. Now mind one thing, the count that was earlier coming up as free has automatically been reduced to 3, and it's showing me one primary partition is created. So this is something new in your EL7 or in your Ubuntu 15.5 and Ubuntu 16 environments, that it now has become a little bit smarter. It won't allow you to create a primary partition 1 which is already created. See what is my count coming in now. Now I have an option to create between 2 to 4. This was not there if you are doing the same job on RHEL 6, or if you are doing the same job on Ubuntu 14, you will get this 1 to 4 only. And the count or the sectors, in place of sectors, it will be showing me my cylinders. Okay, so partition number 2 is starting from the default. I want this to be of capacity 5 GB. Print it, you got 2 partitions now. Create new, again a primary partition. Okay, now I have option to create only 3rd and 4th. Again 3 GB partition, one more new partition. Now I don't have an option. If I try to do, there is no primary option coming for me now, because all the primary partitions that were available has been consumed. See here, earlier it was coming option as primary, but now because I have created 3 primary partitions, I don't have an option to create the 4th primary partition. You can have 4 primary, then there will be no more extended partitions created. So I'll create an extended partition only and will give all the available space to this extended. If we check print, now we got 4 partitions defined here, out of which 3 are primary and 1 is extended partition. It clearly shows you here that this partition is an extended one. Now if I try to create a new partition once more, I don't have any option for creating the primary partition. Read the screen what it says. All primary partitions are in use, adding logical partition only. It's not giving you option to create the primary, it's not giving you option to create the extended. Only logical partitions can be done. And how many logical partitions I can create now? How many logical partitions I can create? The device is of what type? It's a SCSI disk. And if you recall, when we discussed about the disk types, so with SCSI we have something limitation that it can have maximum these many number of partitions. 10 more partitions I can create, because on SCSI you have a limitation of 15 partitions. 5 you have already created, you are left out with creating only 10 more partitions, because you are working on a SCSI hard disk. If you would have been working on a SATA, or if you would have been working on a parallel ATA, then 63 minus 5, that is the number of partitions you can create furthermore on that. Got it? Okay. So let's create one more, say plus 500 MB, one more partition got created. See all this thing, whatever I am doing, as of now, this is into my system memory. These changes has not yet been written to my disk. The changes are into memory only. For making these changes permanent, for making these changes updated on my hard disk, read the option what I'll have to write in here. Which particular option I'll have to select for writing my changes to disk? Read the segment, save and exit. So in this we have option W, write table to disk and exit, Q, quit without saving the changes. So just in case suddenly it comes, you started your process as dev/sda1 and then it comes to your mind, oops, I did something wrong. So still you have an option. Your data is still in safe hands till the time you are not going to do write table to disk, still it is into system memory. So if by mistake you have started fdisk utility with the wrong device, or with a device which you was not supposed to partition, you accidentally started partitioning a wrong disk, still you can quit without making any of your changes persistent. The moment you press W, hit enter, Now your changes have been done persistently. The changes have been recorded on your device. I can validate it by running sudo fdisk-l dev/sdb. Okay. But if I do fdisk-l dev/sdb, I cannot do it. Permission is denied. I can do it using sudo, but I cannot do it using my direct commands because I am not an administrator. Okay. So now I have 5 partitions, but can I use them? Can I write data on that devices? Can I use them for storing my information? No. We cannot use them for storing my information. Let me try to do cd/ say sudo cd/dev/sdb1. What error I am getting? Isn't it the same error that we got yesterday when we were trying to access something on our CD-ROM? This was the same error when we were trying to go to our dev/sr0 yesterday while mounting our CD and while accessing the information from my CD. This is the same error that we got yesterday also. So that means I cannot work on a storage device, I cannot work on a disk unless or until it has been mapped to my system. Is it or not? Like yesterday when we did this option cd/dev/sr0, I got the same error. Then what we did is we executed the command mount-t iso 9660/dev/sr0 to/media. Then we were able to access the data from the /media point. Is it or not? Okay. So similar is the error with my dev/sdb1 also. The same is the error with dev/sdb1 also. That is, I cannot access my disk. Why I cannot access? Because it is a block special device. If I check, type dev/sdb1, what it says? Oops, type not found. It's a block special disk. It's a block special device. So block special devices cannot be directly accessed. They always has to be mapped to my server. Unless or until I create a mapping, I will not be able to access them. Okay. So let's try to create a mapping for them. Say sudo mkdir/disk1, disk2. 2 directories I created. ls-la/disk1, there is nothing in it. /disk2, there is nothing in it. So what I want is I want to map the reference disk on this locations. Okay, let's try to do mount dev/sdb1 on /disk1. What message I am getting? Read the message. Only root can perform that operation. It's obvious, due to obvious reasons. If every user is allowed to create a mapping and remove the mapping, you have a database mounted on dev/sdb1, your database team is working on that, and one of the users accidentally executed the command umount/database1. Disk is unmounted. Now what will happen? The whole database team or the whole application team, they are worrying about what happened. My database was just accessible and it has suddenly gone. So these are management operations, and who is supposed to manage? Who is supposed to manage? Only the administrator. And what we are doing here is we are managing our storage. So storage management is something that only my administrator can perform. Okay. So sudo. So this command I'll have to do by using the sudo command. Now I am getting another error. Kindly read the error message what we got. Wrong file system type. bad option, bad super block, missing code page, helper program, or other error. Okay, what does it mean? It simply means that I am trying to access a disk which is not yet formatted. So can you store data on a device which is not formatted? Can I use this disk for storing my data on Windows without formatting it with FAT or NTFS? I have to firstly right click on it, then format this disk, then only I will be capable of storing the information. The same is the thing here. Either it is Windows or it is Linux. Unless or until you tell your operating system that this particular storage device has to be managed by using such and such logic, you cannot store data on that. So for creating a file system on my disk in Linux environments, we have a command called as MKFS, make file system. Okay, so now I'll have to do sudo MKFS, make file system of what type? ext4, where on dev/sdb1. Okay, now what it did is creating file system with such and such information. File system ID number is this, allocating group tables, writing journal, super blocks, and file system accounting information. Done. Now if in case we try to run our mount command, this should be successful. Yes, it is successful now. Okay, why it is successful? Because now it is having a file system assigned to it. Now if I do say touch/disk1 some files, say file I cannot touch it there. Reason being, I am an unprivileged user. So how I can access the data which is under the ownership of my root? If we check ls-lb/disk1, so who is the owner of this directory? Root. My name belongs to which segment? The other segment. And others do not have permission to write there. That is why this user cannot write data. So again, what we'll have to do? Sudo. Okay, let's check ls-la/disk1. We have these 20 files created here. Notice something extra here, lost plus found, which was not there when we executed ls-l earlier. Did you notice something here? Previously when we did the same ls-la for the same disk directory, there was only two files, one is a hidden dot and a hidden double dot. But now when we are checking it again, we are getting one more directory name coming in here as lost plus found. If, mind one thing, make it a rule of thumb. If in case while doing a directory listing, from any directory if you are getting this lost plus found directory in it, it simply means that this device is, or this directory is a reference point to any storage disk. How it's so? Let me prove it again. Currently, what are the contents? These are the contents of which directory? Disk 1. Okay. Now when I do sudo umount, that is unmap, mount means create a map, umount, remove the map from disk 1. Let's rerun the command. What we have here? There is nothing. Now my data is where? Where is that data? The data is on my dev SDB1. The data is not on disk 1 directory, the data is actually stored into my SDB1. Now if in case I do sudo mount -t ext4 dev/sdb1 to my directory mnt, and we check /mnt directory, so it is having all that data what I was having in my disk1 directory. So that is when we created that, what happened is it was defined up as a map. It's something like in Windows you assign a drive letter. Like in Windows you have a C:, D:. So that C drive or D drive is nothing else, just an entry point to one of my partitions on the disk. The same way here in Linux we do not have the concept of drive letters. So in Linux, how my devices are mapped? My devices are mapped by using the mount command, and they are mapped to a directory. They are not mapped to a drive letter. That is why if you recall the very first day we discussed, in Linux every file name begins with /, and no matter if my file is on disk 1 partition 1 or it is on my disk 10 partition 20, the name will always begin with /. Why with /? Because the mapping always has to be done on a directory created somewhere under my / listing. Got it? So if in case I am checking the contents of my disk 1, see here, let's try to do it. Say sudo cat okay, /mnt /file1. Now this is my file permissions coming into picture. I cannot update that file because the file is still under the ownership of whom? Root. And who am I? I am user Vivek. So Vivek does not have right permissions to modify the file. Vivek is others. So that is my basic file permissions blocking me there. Okay. Let's do, there is one more option that you can follow, is sudo -i. Like here every time for running the command I have to do what? Sudo. So you run a command, then you get an error, then again you recall, oh, I am an unprivileged user, use the sudo. Run your command as sudo -i. Now you are interactively working on your system as administrator. Need not to run sudo again. You don't have to use the sudo command anymore. See the prompt that got changed here. The moment I did sudo -i, now I am placed onto administrative prompt. Okay. So let's do cat $mnt /file1 testing the file data, Control D, saved it here. You mount /mnt. Mind it, where I have added my data. Can you check on which particular file I have added the data? I have added data on a file by the name file1 under /mnt. Then I have unmounted my mnt. Let's remount it. Mount -t ext4 dev/sdb1 to /disk1 cat disk1 /file1. The same data is coming here. That is, when you create a device mapping, when you use the mount command and then store any data at the mapped path, the data is not actually stored into the directory. If we check the contents of our /mnt directory, there is nothing in it anymore. Whatever mnt was showing me, those were the contents coming from my device dev sdb1, that is my partition number 1 on the second disk. Now wherever this partition will be mapped, data will be accessible from that point. How I can check that which device is mapped at what location? Simply by running the command df. Df command stands for my disk free information. Df is my disk free information. Okay. So df command is showing me that this is mounted with this particular location. Now here my column number 1, the column which is under file system, this is your physical device name, and the last column mounted on, this is a logical disk name or a partition name or a directory name where it is referenced from. So if I want to know that my second device first partition is referred from what location, we can simply see that second device is my devsdb1 first partition and is accessible from the location disk1. Even if in case you don't know, you can just simply refer it and access the information from here. Got it? The same way, if I try to do a mapping, I need to find out that which particular disk is mounted with what type of file system. What is the management methodology? What is the particular technique that this particular file system is using for accessing my data? You can check it again, the df command with -T switch. When you executed the df command with -T switch, mind one thing, there is something more added into it. Can you tell me what is more added here? Some more information got added here. The type column got added here. The type column is telling me that this particular file system or this particular device is accessed by using what methodology. Like here, my udev is used by using the dev tmpfs file system, tmpfs is by using the tmpfs file system, sda1 is formatted with ext4, sr1 is ISO 9660, sdb1 is my ext4. So like in Windows you have that FAT, NTFS and all. In Linux also we have various file systems there. Okay, so it is just showing me that file system information. But isn't it this information quite difficult to crack down? Information is there, it shows me that this much is used, this much is available, 1K block size, but it's a little bit difficult to interpret, a little bit difficult to understand what is the actual size here. You can obtain the actual size by combining one more switch there as -h. That is, show me information in human readable format, which is more better to understand. df or df-h, which is more easy to interpret? df-h, because it is not showing me the things in the exact format. 233 megabytes, 20 gigabytes, 5 gigabytes. It's showing me that information in a human readable format. So it's more easy to understand there. Okay. There is one more option that you can use, is show this info in a kilobyte format, df-k. Default it shows in terms of bytes. df-k presents the information in kilobytes, and df-h shows information in human readable format. If in case you want to view a listing of a particular type of file systems only, then in that case you can use df-h followed by -F ext4. Now it presents me only those device listings which are managed by this particular file system. So here it is now showing me only those file system details which are managed using the ext4 file system, which are managed according to the ext4 technology. I want to check only my ISO devices, ISO 9660. Now it shows me only the ISO devices there. I want to check all my temporary file systems. So all those devices which are my virtual file system here, which are existing into system memory, they are shown to me. So sys is coming up as what? Sys is coming up as a virtual file system here. Okay. So df command gives me a lot of information. df-h, df-T, df-F, get the information related to a particular type of file system. Okay. But in this case, still there is a challenge. And the challenge is, if my system goes for a scheduled downtime, if my system goes for a scheduled maintenance activity, then after the reboot, I am not going to get my disk 1 back again. The disk 1 will not be presented to me if I am going for a power cycle. Why it will not be presented to me? Because this is configured as a temporary mounting. This is a temporary mount defined. This is a temporary map. Okay, so here the map that has been defined is a temporary map here. So this temporary map will be gone the moment my server goes for a power cycle. So in this case, how I can make it persistent? Whatever devices you have mapped, whatever disks are accessible to you, they are referred from two files. There are two files on your system. One is your /etc/fs tab file system table. Okay, and second is your etc/mtab, or in some scenarios mnt tab. Some flavors of Linux access is at mtab, some flavors of Linux access is at mnt tab. fs tab is a file that we use for persistent mapping. When I need to create a mapping, when I need to create a device reference, that will be used persistently over reboots, over power cycles. That is, even after my power cycle, I should be able to access that. Those type of devices, those type of references come into my fs tab. You can call it as a permanent mapping or a persistent mapping. So when we are accessing fs tab, we are defining persistent maps. And mtab entries, these are my mtab or mnt tab, these are my temp, will be lost after reboot. So the entries which are there in my mtab file, they are gone when my system goes for a power cycle. Okay, so when they are gone, that is, if in case I am taking a power cycle, all the entries will be gone. You can just validate it by doing cat etc mtab and read it here. Do we have information for our disk? Dev sdb1 disk ext4 read write data ordered, entries there. Okay, so here you have your disk entry here. But if you check the entries of your fs tab file, there is no entry for my disk 1 into it. So if I do not have the similar entry in my fs tab and in my mtab files, whatever you have mentioned into your fs tab, only those will be accessible. Got it? So now if I want to make this entry as a persistent one, I want that after my reboot, this SDB1 should be available to me. Then what I'll have to do is, I'll have to make an entry in a format of first device name, second column mount point, third column with which file system, fourth column options, fifth column FSCK pass, and sixth column sequence of FSCK. FSCK sequence you can call it. Okay. So that is for our device. If I need to make it persistent, what I'll have to do is edit my file etc/fstab. Now come to the last line, add a new line at the bottom and make entry here as dev/sdb1, where it has to be mapped on the directory by the name disk1. What file system to be used? ext4 file system. How I want it to be mapped? With my default options. And do I want it to be FSCK? No. Do not test for errors. No FSCK sequence. Okay. Now how I can check if the entries that I have done in my file are correct or not? Currently I have my dev/sdb1. I'll just do one thing, umount/disk1, so that it is no more coming into my mtab file. It's not referred through my mtab. Just try to run the command mount-a. Okay. The moment you try mount-a, if there is any mistake, if there is any error in your fstab entries, it will be immediately reported. Like in my case, it gives me wrong fs type, bad option or bad super block. The reason is I have done a mistake at my options. Here I should have written as defaults. What I have written is default. Now let's mount-a again. This time no error. And if you check df-h, your SDB came back again. We have unmounted it. It was not presented into my mtab entries, but the moment you executed mount-a, it came back again. Reason being, mount-a is doing what? It's trying to simulate the process that will happen when my system is booting. Mount-a, the fstab file is automatically read when your system boots up. So during your system booting, it maps, it reads the file fstab and creates a persistent entry of everything that has been done here. That's how you get your file systems mapped again and again. Now my file system is persistent and is accessible after every reboot also. Got it? Let's quickly summarize the steps now. Okay. So step 3, use any of the utilities, create your partitions. Okay. Then step 4, build the desired file system on the newly created partitions. This we can do by running mkfs-t fs type by what file system I want to mount, then dev/partition name. Okay. So this will build your file system. So for example, syntax is this, example is here, mkfs-t ext4 dev/sdb1. So this will create the ext4 file system here. Okay. Then step 5, to use the newly created and formatted partition, we have to create a disk mapping using the mount command. Okay, syntax mount -t fs type partition followed by mount path where you want to access it. Example, mount -t ext4 dev/sdb to my path disk1. Okay, so this map is presently non-persistent, shall be lost if a power cycle happens. To make it persistent, step 6, create a persistent map. Make an entry in etc/fs tab file in following order. What all entries I need to do? Column number 1, physical disk name. Column number 2, mount path or point. Column number 3, file system to be used. Column number 4, options with file system. 5, fsck dump flag. If errors to be reported. And 6th is fsck check sequence. So example, vi etc fs tab, make entry there as dev/sdb1. This is my physical disk. Where it has to be mounted? On /disk1. How it has to be mounted? With ext4. With what options? Defaults. fsck dump flag 0 means do not dump errors, do not report errors, and no sequence, because when I am not dumping errors, when I am not checking for errors, there is no point specifying the check order. Okay, so fsck check sequence, or you can say order of performing fsck. fsck is like chk dsk in Windows. So as in Microsoft you have chk dsk, in Linux we have fsck. So fsck is Windows check disk utilities equivalent. Escape :wq, your file is dead. Okay. Step 7, validate if entries of etc fs tab are correct. Mount -a, if any error reported, address it and run the command till no errors are reported. Done. Now my disk is ready to be used over reboots. I got a persistent rebooting, I got a persistent disk configuration, and the disk is working there fine. Okay. So I will suggest that you